Welcome back to the Sermon of Bacchus. Money gives us magic powers, as you all know. You can create things out of thin air by handing the money or sending it and receiving back whatever it is you wished for, almost without limit. And money grants prestige on the people who have it. And so when someone walks into a room and everybody knows that they have money, or they suspect that, that person is treated with more care than a person who's disheveled and looking ragged. And this is just part of being human. So it's important to donate to churchofbacchus.org, because just with your donation, the church will be seen as legitimate by the general public. Just with money. Just the knowledge that money is flowing into the church will grant the church prestige and allow us to accomplish all of our goals together. So if you want to instantly create viability for this church, donate right now, please. Now, as for today's sermon, we are all locked in cages. Cages of different types. And when I say we, I mean all creatures in existence. But let's stick with humans. Now we have three types of cages: soft, hard, and death cages. A soft cage is somewhere you live, where the energy of the place where you live, whether it's a city with its frenetic energy or a forest with its peaceful natural energy, this is a soft cage that you are surrounded by. Obviously, these cages are metaphorical. Since we're humans, we can talk like this. So your soft cage is your environment, your surroundings, anything that influences the way you experience your existence. A hard cage is something like an emotion, something that's now you're locked in an emotion. You've experienced this throughout your life, where suddenly you're experiencing an emotion. That emotion will trap you. You won't be able to escape, right? It's a cage because it's real. You can deny that the cage is there, and you can even try to escape from it, but it's there. And so if you're feeling sad, now you're in the sad cage. And then suddenly you get something that you wanted, and now you're in the happy feeling cage, the pleasure cage. You cannot escape these cages, whether they be soft or hard. Excuse me. Biological cage there. And so the hard cages are the emotions and even the physical feelings that we get. These are hard cages. Can't escape them. We can get used to the feeling of the hard cage. We can get used to the feeling of the emotion. But we cannot deny that we are in that cage. People who deny these cages are people who will constantly be bumping into those bars, those mental or spiritual bars. So you're saying, I'm not sad. I'm feeling great. Nothing can bring me down. And you're saying that while you're in the cage, and that's a great way to sort of be disciplined. But discipline is based on what? Experience of practicing something, right? And that falls into the category of a hard cage, because your skills and your DNA, that's another cage. How much logic do I have? How much musical of a musical ear do I have? There are people who cannot hear music. Right? They're called people who cannot hear anything at all. But I'm talking about if you don't have an ear for music, and you can't count the beats, and you just don't understand why people like music so much. That's another cage that you're in. People who enjoy music, that's a cage. And so there's infinite cages as a human being. If it makes you feel better, you can think of these as labyrinths. Infinite labyrinths that we're surrounded by. Labyrinths within labyrinths within labyrinths. But cages is just easier to say. And it's easier to visualize. So you got your soft cage, which is your environment, which influences the way you feel. And then you have the hard cages, DNA, skills, emotions especially. And then we have the third cage, death cage. These are cages that you cannot escape from to get to another cage, because if you escape from the death cage, outside of that cage is death. We don't know if there's cages beyond death, but we know that if we escape breathing, death cage, we die on the other side of that. You can escape your environmental cage and go into another environmental cage. You can escape certain ways. You can escape your physical limitations. Let's say you're in a cage that's weakness, and then you strengthen your body. So now you're in a stronger cage, right? You're a stronger person's cage, not a weaker person's cage. Again, from one cage to the next, to the next, to the next. Soft, hard. But death, whether it be breathing or whether it be I'm going to get out of the cage of this perfect temperature where humans can live in this little range of temperatures, and I'm going to escape that temperature cage. No, you're not. That's a death cage. You escape up to 200 degrees, toast. Escape below 100, negative 100, or whatever is lower than what the Iceman can withstand. The person with the absolute best hypnotized state where they can withstand ultimate cold. But at some point your body just turns into a block of ice, and the death cage. There's no escaping the death cage without dying. And so as you can start to see, the cages are unlimited. They are infinite cages that we live in, that we're forced to be in. I have a logical limitation. I'm not able to do high levels of math. Maybe if I tried to learn some of it, I could reach a slightly higher level than I don't even want to know that stuff. But there's going to be a limit to where you can reach. We just know this. We just know. And so I'm trapped within this logical cage. So my ability to understand religion, my ability to understand my own life is limited by my own logic cage, my own reasoning cage. And I cannot escape that. Free throw shooting in basketball is a great example. Most players are not able to move their free throw percentage more than a couple of points in either direction, no matter how much they practice. You have players who spend their whole careers, and everyone talks about it like it's their fault. And this is just a logical fallacy from the logic cages that these poor people are in, where they believe that you can control something like a free throw. Well, show me the percentage of, let me know how many players were able to move their percentages more than 10 points. I bet you there's no more than, at the most, 20% of the whole NBA that were able to raise their free throw percentage more than 10 points. 80% of all players are stuck in a probably a 5-point range, maybe even tighter. It's unbelievable how trapped we are by such a simple thing like, just no matter how many millions of times you throw it, your body cannot produce a higher percentage. And then the top guys, I don't even know if they'd be able to miss. It seems like they just 95% free throw shooters. Unbelievable. Right, so we're trapped in all these cages. You can start to see it. So what do you do in a life where there's infinite cages? This is where religion comes in. See, I like to use the scientific method because scientists have come up with a rigorous way to test their ideas. And I just use that to test my religious ideas, my spiritual ideas. And there are some biologists who have conjectured that religion is an extended phenotype of humans, just like the dam is the extended phenotype of the beaver. The spider web is the extended phenotype of the spider. We create religion to create communities. We create religion maybe because the gods are real. Bacchus has been celebrated for almost 4,000 years, going back to Dionysus, the god of wine, theater, and nature. And nature is not just forest and ponds and springs and fields and meadows and flowers. Nature is what your nature is, and it is in the human nature to be rational. I'm speaking words which allows me to be rational. When we speak to each other, we're thinking out loud and helping each other, cooperating with our thoughts to build up a better idea together. And so when you consider whether you should join a religion like Church of Bacchus, you need to realize that all gods offer the same thing. Depending on the soft and hard cages that a person is in, will probably determine which religion appeals to them. But all gods have this in common. They're not genies. They don't grant wishes. But they also don't get into your business. They don't actually judge you. They don't actually harm you. They're not controlling you. They're not going to disappoint you. They're not going to disappear. They're not going to abandon you when you need them most. It's a companion that's there within us. It's our extended phenotype in the universe. It gives us a connection to a power within this universe. A power that allows us to feel grounded, to feel free in a world of infinite cages. It's freedom that the gods offer. People can lay all of their rules down on top of the gods, and they can say that the gods want this and the gods want that. But actually, the gods represent different powers that people are attracted to. Sadly, it may be the case that we're not even in control of which God appeals to us. That may be its own cage. I'm not sure. But regardless, whatever type of human you are, just like there's different types of birds, there's all these different types of humans. And you've met them. Just people that don't seem like these other types of people. Just a totally different type of person, different type of bird. Just like a woodpecker is completely different than a crow. You just look at them and their behavior is just utterly different. A lot of birds have different foods that they eat compared to other birds. So you can't get much more different than that. And we have similar types of humans where one is interested in eating plants, or you get it, meats. We know what people eat. And so what Bacchus is offering you and offering anyone who feels compelled to share in the rapture that Hugh Jackman talks about when he was acting in movies and in theater productions, where he said he reached a spiritual pinnacle of his life that he could not reach anywhere else. I heard him say this in an interview. He says, the only time in my life, in all of my life, other than with my family, that I was able to experience this spiritual rapture was performing. The performance gives us the ability to pay tribute to the god Dionysus, Bacchus, the origin of the theater. When we change our consciousness through performance, or through drinking, or through plants, or through drugs, we are entering the spirit world. And we can hold on to with a chain. We have an anchor in this world called with the God that we're connected to. And to be clear, I don't want to get too far into this. Maybe this will be a different sermon later, but I want to be clear about all of the people who support the drug laws that have made people go into physical cages in this world because they want to change their consciousness. Every single person out there who's against the free use of any substance a person wishes to use on themselves, if you are against a person's freedom to take any substance that they wish, you are my enemy. You are the enemy of the Church of Bacchus. Forever. And so, keep those cages in your mind. Understand when you're completely under the influence of an emotional cage, and be aware of it, because it's possible that free will exists in awareness. The awareness that you're trapped in the cage. Because if you're in a cage and you don't know it, you're going to be bumping into it. Bump, bump, bump. Everywhere you go, you're going to hit that cage. You're not going to see it, but you're going to keep hitting it, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Pain, another cage, another emotion. And pain obviously can lead to death. And so there's borders where these cages transition. But ultimately, you know the death cages. Go underwater and stay there for a while. Watch what happens. There's no escaping that unless you're Aquaman. And so please donate to the Church of Bacchus at churchofbacchus.org. Help this church become a legitimate power in the world for freedom, and to encourage all of the arts and all of the creators of the world and all of the nightlife people. We want a place of our own. We deserve it. We've given so much to this world. People who have given their lives to acting, like Heath Ledger. People who have recently died, who were revered and loved, like Sean Connery. We owe it to them to give this space a more sacred place of worship, more sacred than just the theater, more sacred than just the nightclub. Dancing, drinking, partying, performing, these are all great things, but they tend to be for profit. We need a non-profit place to go where we can all just enjoy each other's company and build up our spiritual stamina and constitution for the weeks ahead. That's why every week you go to church. We need a place to go after we wake up the next day from the nightclub and we want to go to church. And we don't want to go and be lectured by people who hate us or who reject us. We need our own place. So join, if you can, if you wish, join the church. And if you wish to start your own church, please do. I'm happy to help you. If you don't want my help, I'm happy that you're going to do it without my help. I want this church to have thousands of churches, because there are 300,000 churches just in the United States, and none of them are Church of Bacchus. So we're going to start with one, and then we're going to build another and another, and we're going to do this in a decentralized way. Yes, I am the top person right now in this particular church because I have these ideas that I've been inspired by Bacchus to do this with my life. Others will also come in and they'll step in. Somebody's going to replace me at some point, either while I'm alive or after I'm dead. But this has been going on. This religion has existed as a cult of Dionysus. The Eleusinian mysteries then became Bacchus. Right? Here we are, now in the United States, now in the world, listening to the internet, YouTube in this case. And so we're not creating something new. We are strengthening something that sort of faded away over the years. We are going to resurrect this religion, and we're going to figure out what those mysteries mean. If you join me, we can do this. So watch out for those cages. Be aware of your surroundings and what's influencing you. And come back for the next sermon, please. I thank you for joining this sermon, and I'll see you next time.